Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and my toasted strudels back to the channel. If you're new here or you're an old comer coming back, let me real quick, I suppose in a way, give a disclaimer, but not my usual disclaimer. This disclaimer I'm going to say is to stress the importance of what this video is going to be about, or more so the core root of what it's about to cover. And if you've seen one of my previous videos about my thoughts on the murder case of George Floyd, that video I'm going to do with this one, where I'm just going to take the time that I personally feel like I need to get whatever on my chest. And yes, you can see my bit of my chest hair, so I'm gonna cover that up because y'all don't need to see all that, okay? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and show just a little bit for y'all. Just a little bit, okay? Give you a little treat. But anyhow, with that particular video, I felt as if I wanted to make sure that I was able to articulate my thoughts currently at that point in time. And I will do a follow-up video on that some point in time because we already got the verdict about, with that case. And again, I have my own thoughts and opinions that I have right now going with that, but that could be another day. For this one, yes, ladies and gentlemen, my toast strudels, we're going to discuss about EDP445. And with that being said, from this point forward, going with this video, I'm going to address EDP445 as Brian, his given name. Reason being why I'm going to do that is because not to necessarily have to humanize him, but to recognize that at the end of the day, y'all, he's still a human being. And here's the thing. For those who are watching right now, some of y'all, again, I'm not necessarily going to try to point fingers at you. I'm not trying to demean you. I'm not trying to get in your asshole about this, but let's be honest. Some of y'all who might be watching this somewhere in the future, you never know, might actually find yourselves in a situation similar to his in some form or fashion. Some of y'all. Because let's acknowledge something. At the end of the day, it's never so far-fetched that any one of us can find ourselves in the most unfortunate, unpredictable moments in our lives that we didn't see coming. Be it if we consciously perceived it or subconsciously perceived it, or unconsciously you want to go there. Anyhow. And for those, for whatever reason, you don't know about the situation going on with Brian, is that not too long ago, maybe about a few days, there was essentially this sting that had led to him being confronted about messaging a underage girl, 13 to be precise, in terms of the age, and being confronted as being a PEDO. And you know what that stands for. And on YouTube, the thing is this. Brian has been on YouTube for a long time. And something that, whether if you liked him or not, prior to this point in time, I think one element that people appreciate about him overall was his willingness to be himself. Or at least say this, to be entertaining at the best of times and at the worst of times. And I think because of that, everyone at this point, to some extent, can look at him as he's like the ideal YouTuber that still stands. Like the ideal YouTuber in terms of having the views, having the following, in a sense, like subscribers and what have you, while being himself. Doesn't feel like he has to necessarily alternate his character, alternate his means of how he makes the videos, how he puts them out. And there is some level of aspiration that was there. But of course, probably at this point in time, it's diminished. And most likely won't return anytime soon, if at all. And perhaps it shouldn't, And like, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I was questioning for a few days, and yes, I've seen the video of them exposing him. I've seen the video from beginning to end several times. And I have to say that For one, the way that it was, the way they chose to go about it, to me, y'all, it's like, yes, are you doing something of good, so to speak, of trying to confront these people who could possibly damage a child's life? Yes. However, how you choose to go about it, to me, is very counterproductive. And I'm going to explain why I mean by that. Because, again, going back to a point I brought up earlier in this video, any one of us can be in that kind of situation. Now, of course, you can admit, say, oh, I never touched a child. I never did. But here's the thing, though. It's easy because it's like this. It's easy for you to say, oh, I would do X, Y, and Z in this particular situation. But here's the thing. Like, say, if you want to say, oh, I would, kung fu group them and karate chop this if you got in a fight. But, baby, you've never been in a fight that would escalate to that point where all that strategy you're doing is going to apply. Let's be honest about that. And in fact, y'all, I was just watching a video from Alvin Preach about a youth minister trying to assist a young lady who was trying to get away from her boyfriend. And in the process of him trying to assist her, he got shot 10 times. And thankfully now, he's still here. He's capable of speaking. And it seems like, physically speaking, he seems to be on a decent road to recovery. But the reason I just want to bring that up, y'all, is to say this. You never know who you're dealing with. You never know the circumstance you might find yourself and get in a particular situation that you probably would never thought you would ever get into. Let's just be fair on that. And let me make something very clear before I go any further from that, in that train of thought. No, I am not trying to make any kind of excuse for anybody, especially Brian, to find themselves in that kind of situation. Because at the end of the day, regardless, let's talk about social media, for example, right here. Regardless of your intentions, regardless of your experiences that led you up to that point, at the end of the day, you still have your autonomy. You still have your agency. So you ultimately choose what happens when the ball is in your court. For instance, y'all, if someone was to contact me on Twitter, right? And let's say if I get the suspicion that this is someone who is underage, just period, they below the age of 18, they're contacting me. Or let's say if I look in their bio and they have their age there, then I'm going to consciously say to myself, okay, regardless of my exposure on the internet, regardless of my exposure on social media in any form or fashion, I need to tread carefully because I know what my intentions are when I'm communicating with people in general. I understand the difference between when I'm having a conversation with someone of my age and someone who's below my age and how to conduct myself. Because for one, can I have a conversation with someone, let's say 15 years old? Yes, I can. However, would I purposely seek out 15-year-olds to have conversations with day in and day out? Especially inappropriately? Absolutely not. Why would I put myself in a position like that? And why would I put that child in that kind of position? Why? That don't make sense to me. Now, let's say, for example, if a 15-year-old happens to stumble upon my channel, and typically speaking, y'all, my channel is not necessarily for children. And when I say children, I'm talking about not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. If you're a child in all four of these, you don't need to be on my channel. However, I'm not discouraging you from checking out my content necessarily, but understand that I'm more interested in having a conversation with folks who are working towards maturing within their physicality, their mental, their emotional, and their spiritual selves. Those are the folks I have a desire to have a conversation with. So let's say if a 15-year-old watching one of my videos and they feel like they want to contact me, and again, I usually put my Twitter in the description box below. They go to my Twitter, And they send me a message saying, hey, I just recently watched this particular video and I really do appreciate what you said in there. It made a lot of sense. If it's okay, could I ask you about right? Now, again, I have to say to myself, how do I appropriately engage this conversation? Because I don't want to say cut this person off and say, oh, because you're 15 years old, I can't talk to you. No, I'm going to be like this. I'm going to say, okay, what is your question? I'll answer the question. I say, thank you for watching, and I hope you are, we'll have a wonderful day or a wonderful evening. Bye. Peace. And at that point in time, if they choose to contact me again, I'm going to have to make it clear, like, because of your age and because of people's perceptions, I cannot continue this conversation. Maybe some point in time I can, in terms of on my Twitter, maybe. But until that day comes, it has to stop here. Now, of course, let's say if it's here on YouTube, would I feel more comfortable in exchanging someone who is, let's say, 18 years old? Yes, I would. Because again, this is the thing, y'all. On my Twitter, if you want to private message me, the thing is, that's supposed to be between us. But of course, anyone, be even myself, could take the chat logs, and say, hey, such and such said this on this particular day. And it goes both ways. So my thing is, when it comes to YouTube or the comment section, it's public. Meaning if I comment something, then I know I'm comfortable knowing that how I'm going to carry myself, I'm putting it in the public side. So guess what? It's not just an exchange between two people. It's something that people can see. And thus it makes it more likely to not be misconstrued, hopefully. But anyhow, saying all that, y'all, I want to actually bring up someone you probably, again, if you check my videos out, you probably heard her enough, but I'm going to keep promoting my sister out here because she's doing her thing, and I definitely want to encourage other people, not necessarily get her subscribers up because she got plenty of subscribers, but just to expand your thought process in your, maybe some of your traditional beliefs, and not necessarily have to change them, but maybe see them through a different looking glass, so to speak. And who I'm speaking about is Miss Brittany Simon, excuse me. Wait a minute, Simon or Simon? Not Simon, Simon. I don't know why I fucked her last name up. Excuse me, y'all. But anyhow, the reason I'm going to bring her up in this instance because a few weeks ago, I was able to have about an hour conversation with her in terms of brainstorming about ideas and what have you. And in the midst of the conversation, I told her that for me, when it comes to people utilizing, or how did I phrase it? Probably paraphrasing here, y'all, if I don't remember the exact words I said at that point. But the point being, what I said to her was this: most human beings are capable of change, but the probability of change, it lessens over time, or it lessens over certain circumstances they might find themselves in. And now the whole reason I'm bringing that up, y'all, is to say this: for anyone who could find themselves in Brian's position, or who has already found themselves in Brian's position, I'm going to be honest with y'all. Again, not to make any kind of excuse for their behavior, not to make excuse for the decision making. I'm not. I just want to make sure we have proper context and the truth about these matters. With that being said, to me, y'all, there's a clear, defined line for me. Let me state that real quick. This is for me. There's a clear, defined line between the point of no return and the point of you can turn back. On both of these sides, there's a fine line between the two. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. There are plenty of people in this world who may not necessarily cross over to the point of no return necessarily. But here's the thing though. Yeah, again, whether if they're conscious of it or not, this is what you tend to get. You tend to have someone, let me adjust myself real quick, y'all. You tend to have someone who'll be in the middle of the line who dances around it. Meaning, they never necessarily cross the edge to the left, but they're not crossing back over to the right. You get me? They purposely want, again, be it if it's intentional or not, they're on the middle line dancing around it. Now, here's the thing why I'm saying they're dancing around it. Because at one point in time, you could slip your foot up. And again, be it if it was intentional or not, when you slip your foot, might find yourself back on the side of, okay, you can turn back from this. Or you can find yourself turning on the other side saying, you can't come back from this. Okay? And to me, y'all, I feel like a lot of people find themselves in that kind of predicament. And again, it could be for several reasons. It could be several factors as to why that happens, or different variables that can contribute to them getting to that point in time, or find themselves in that kind of predicament. So this is where I'm trying to come in with this video, is to say that it's never too late. That in that predicament, it's never too late to stop. Just stop for a minute and really acknowledge where you are at. Because if your foot is leaning more towards to the edge of no return, but it's not there yet, you have an you have an opportunity to say, that's not what I want. Now let me bring this to Brian, because if you've seen the video, and I'm not going to post it, because if you want to watch it, you can go watch it. But at one point in time in the video, he brings up about his mother. Now, if you watch his videos for a good amount of time, you can definitely tell that he has a huge reverence for his mother, or more so the impact she had in his life before she passed away. And the thing is, he brings up his mother and essentially saying that his mother did not raise a PEDO. And to me, y'all, when I heard that, I thought to myself, wow. Because I won't lie to you guys. I expected the people who were exposing him or confronting him to bring up his mother, but he brought it up for himself. And to me, it made me initially think to myself, if his mother was still here, and I'm not even going to turn this, I'm not even trying to make a parallel to, let's say, with Kanye. Because some people can contribute the way Kanye moves is because his mother is not around. And I'm not going to say that's necessarily not the case, but I don't think that's the pure reason. I don't think it is. So for me, it makes me think to myself, if, not specifically Brian, but I think anyone who can find themselves in that position, it makes me question, what does your support group really look like? Because he himself have said several times that his mother was essentially like his best friend. And even though I never met his mother, and I'm pretty sure a majority of people who watch him never met his mother, and might have seen certain videos of her or what have you, I think deep down, he means what he says, that his mother had never raised someone like that. And I think to some extent, the reason and again, hold up, let me actually even say this real quick, y'all. I'm not speaking for EDP, A.K.A. Brian. I'm not speaking for him. He's a grown man. He can speak for himself. Let me make that clear. What I'm going to say is saying this. There's an underlying reason why he brought up his mother in that moment. And I think it wasn't because those people need to hear him say that. I think a part of him need to hear himself say that. Because here's the thing. We have to acknowledge the reality of the situation. Most likely, and rather if you agree, rightfully so or not, life for him or for anyone in that kind of predicament is not going to be the same. And for me, y'all, the end result I would like to see with his situation, y'all, is that he does get help. However, how he gets to that point of help, I think, is ultimately in a very odd place right now. Because for me personally, and again, I'm just saying this is my particular opinion on this, does he need to go to jail? Honestly, I would say because of his character or how he's carried himself up to this point, I would say no. But does he need some form of correction in his life? Does he need some form of counseling in his life? Does he need to be removed from the general public for a time being? Yes, he does. Because here's the thing with the prison system, let's be honest, the prison system is not perfect. 9 times out of 10, you might have someone who goes in there and they never improve. They never really go out their way, or let's say the environment they find themselves in is not invoking change for the better of themselves. So even let's say they get out, it's like what other option do they what other opportunities do they really have outside of what they went into? Let's just be fair. And so my thing is this: if you're in the camp of wanting to see Brian punished, not redeemed, then I do understand why you would go the route of prison. But for me, that's not my route that I take the situation in. Not specifically just with him, but with anyone in his kind of predicament. Because here's the thing. And now let me circle back to why I brought up about another reason why I brought up Brittany Simon and our conversation that we had. Because interesting enough, point in time afterwards, I can't recall. I probably post the video she did. I want to say it was one of her podcasts, one of the episodes of her podcast, which I definitely suggest y'all go check out. It's really enjoyable. Like I said, she does this more better than me. She got seniority. I'm probably fucking that word up more than me, so she more in the flow of these things. Anyhow, I remember listening to one of her podcasts, and she brought up about how she had to be on her own head about how her values, how her beliefs, or the lack of certain beliefs had to manifest in her actions, had to be consistent with her actions. And sometimes she's had to reevaluate a lot of things. How she carries herself, how she perceives certain people, or how she perceives certain events, certain aspects of life. And to me, y'all, I think all of us at one point in time might have been in a situation where our values change, our actions thus change afterwards. But let's say there's a part of ourselves that want to convince us that despite the change in our actions, the values that we may publicly we may publicly state is still the same. Again, if you watch his videos, you probably stumbled upon a video of him discussing about, okay, if you're 15, 16, 17 years old and you can essentially dress yourself in a provocative manner, let's say that, then what comes around comes around. Or you could say what the response may be is not completely on him, so to speak. And the thing is this: personally, I understood the gist of where his mindset was coming from. However, how he chose to word it, it's like, big fella, you were there, but it's like you should have. There's a little tinkering that should have been done there. And this is the reason why I bring about support groups. Because if I was his friend, and I mean, if I've gone through hell and high water with him, and I saw that video, I would have called him up and say, something along the lines of, did you mean what you said here? And I say, where did that come from? Because here's the thing, y'all. For him to make that kind of statement, it's like, sir, let's look at your age. You're 30. You're about 30 at that point in time. For you to say that at your age, it's like, that's not, I'm not gonna say it's not quote unquote appropriate, but it's like you're gonna hurt yourself in the long run. Now, let's say if you said that when you were underage or a minor, then it's like, okay, from your perspective, that would have made more sense because of your age and where you find yourself in life. But it's like at this point, you have your own home, you don't go to school, you, for the most part, don't associate with those kinds of individuals on a day-to-day basis. So it's like, and I'm talking about at least physically speaking. So it's like your thought process is, it comes off unintentionally uh immature to an extent. But I understand the purpose of what you're saying. But the point being why I'm saying that, y'all, is to say this. It makes me question his support group. People who should have brought him, took him to the side. Because I'm not saying they had to watch every video he makes. But if they get wind of, oh, why this particular video getting so much views, or why is it getting so much, how it's, let's say, getting controversial, it's like, why not just take him to the side and just be like, bro, you're a grown man, you have your thoughts, your own opinions, I can't sway them. But you need to be very careful how you conduct yourself, not just on camera, how you conduct yourself in real life. Because something telling me you're going down a road that is like, it's going to be difficult to come back. It's damn near impossible to come back. And I'm trying to sway you from getting to that road, but hey, this is your life, you're going to live it how you live it. And so with that being said, y'all, I'm gonna close the video on this. And again, let me just make sure it's understood what the whole purpose of this video is about. The purpose of this video is not to necessarily condemn these people and say, oh, you can never be redeemed. Not necessarily, again, if they have not crossed that line of no return. For those who have crossed that line, I would say for you, Godspeed. That's the only word that comes to my mind I can honestly say, y'all. Godspeed for you. But for those who have not crossed the line, I'm telling you, it's not too late. But of course, if you feel like you cannot find someone in your support group in life that can assist you in getting the help that you need, or let's even say this, wherever you are right now, and you feel as if, or even if you do some research, if you find that nowhere in your vicinity are there facilities or places that you can physically go, not just online, but you can physically meet people who have been where you're at right now, who may be currently at where you're at right now, and that can show that, look, we know we don't want this. There's something here we need to fix. We need to see about, and don't feel like this is a journey that you have to go on your own. Okay? And yes, that comes with its own slew of problems, but at the end of the day, it is what it is on that point. So this is the thing, y'all. Again, to close this video off, if you have a friend, if you have a family member who is going through something that it feels like some red flags are going off, I'm not saying that I'm not saying you don't condone their actions. I'm not saying you do not do what you need to do. If you feel like you need to distance yourself from this person, I understand. I will not act as if that's not reasonable. But what I would say is this. Before you commit to any of those actions, I would only ask you to just do this, not for me, not for them, but do this for yourself. And just ask yourself this. If you ever found yourself in that predicament, if you ever found yourself in that person's shoes, what would you want them to do for you? Because if it's about locking the key up, throw me on the bus, okay then. But if it's about actually would want to seek help before you ever go that point in time putting your hands on the children or anything like that, then you go from there. And in fact, y'all, before I even end this video, I'm going to make a quick suggestion for y'all. And you know, at some point in time, I might do this, because this has been an interesting thought I've been wanting to do for a long time. For anyone, if you have Netflix, go look up Black Mirror. It's a wonderful show, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of depicting what could possibly happen in the near to far future with just the advancement of technology and how human beings utilize it to the more darker impulses. or to explore the darker impulses of humanity. And that's one perception I have for the series. And if you do watch it, for some reason, I don't know why, I don't know if they intentionally do this, but you have to, if you play it, it won't go from the first season, it'll go from the latest season going down. I don't know why, that's kind of weird to me. I mean, it's not really bad. I watched it like that, and it was cool. But anyhow, the reason I'm saying that, y'all, is to say, go down and you can watch, really, you can watch any one of these episodes in any particular order if you want to. But if you're going to go essentially from the bottom up, or from season one to the current season, it does make more sense as to how certain technologies develop over time, because it's still in the same world, so to speak, but there's just different branches of how this technology progresses and how people react or respond to it or utilize it. Anyhow, I want to say this is in season two, where, and I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a particular episode that touches on this. And the one of my reasons why that particular episode, and like I said, I might cover this somewhere in the future, but that particular episode, y'all, to me, to this day, is, it still fucks with me. But it fucks with me in a good way. Because by the end of the episode, it calls into question not just the concept of vigilantes necessarily, or people who feel like they're doing the right thing behind a computer screen, but it makes you question just how far are we really willing to take these things. And again, I'll probably, you know what I'm gonna do? I'll post in a comment section, if I can find the episode, not specifically with Black Mirror, but I'm talking about the podcast with Brittany Simon. Again, I would suggest you go check it out. I'll probably post in this in the comment section, and if I can find the episode that I'm thinking about of Black Mirror, I'll post it there too, so you guys go watch and check it out. I'm not gonna spoil it, but I would highly recommend you go watch it. But with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, and my total strudels, this is your host, A.K.A., also known as Nelson, signing off. I'll catch y'all later. Peace and please be safe on these streets. Everybody, okay? I don't want no one getting hurt. I don't want anyone getting hurt. I don't want no one's life being taken away in any form or fashion, okay, of foolishness. Again, y'all, I'm a big proprietor of stopping the foolishness. So again, if I'm contributing in any way that's going to make progress in that, I'll do my part and continue to improve on that part. But anyway, all that being said, I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.